Good morning all, and welcome back to Sew Granny Sew. I had a really good question on the video of how to connect your Quilt-As-You-Go blocks, and I will link that in the description below. And the question was on if they have to keep flipping back and forth to do their sashing as they go. There's several different ways out there that you can do your Quilt-As-You-Go sashing, but I wanted to show you even one step easier, and that's always cut your batting and your top block down 1/4 of an inch less. So this is a 5-inch charm square, and our block of batting is cut at 4.5, and our top block is also cut at 4.5. So then we have 1/4 inch all the way around that block, that's extra on that backing. Get that centered a little better here. Then we'll pin them together. And then at this point, you would do your quilting however you're going to do it. And we're going to do that with all of our blocks, of course. Now that we got that all pinned together, I'm going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine and do some quick quilting on here. And then I'll bring them back and I will show you how to connect the blocks on the back where you won't need the sashing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done and I'll meet you back here. For those who are or may not be following along, we have a series going on right now that is 4 items you need in your sewing room. One is a sewing machine cover, which we have done, and that's here. The next is a pocket storage organizer, and we have all that done except for on how we're going to attach it, and that's right here. Our next project will be recovering our ironing boards, and our fourth one will be making curtains for our windows. That might be something you're interested in, so go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you're not following along yet, I will link the projects that we got completed in the description below. Be sure to check those out. So all we're going to do now, okay, you guys, I must apologize because the whole last video cut out after that point. So I'm going to go ahead and I got a couple of my sloppily done ones when I was practicing free motion quilting. I cut them down to where we need them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and show you on this, but I'll do the voiceover with the other pre-recording I already did. So I'm just going to walk through the steps and take it one step at a time. So what we're going to do next is line up our 2 edges of our squares, quilt squares. And I'm deciding here which 2 edges. So once we get those lined up, we'll pin those into place. And then we'll bring those to the sewing machine and sew right along the edge of the batting and quilt top. We will not stitch those in. Okay, so we have that sewn in. And when you open it up, the back, you can't see the seam really on the back. On the front, we need to iron that seam open so it lays nice and flat before we put that sashing on. Okay, so we have that ironed open. It doesn't stay down too well until we get the sashing on. So with the sashing, we're just going to take I have a 1-inch piece, but we're just going to take it, fold it in half and iron it flat. Then we're going to lay that edge along the seam that we just put in. But first of all, we're going to cut that down to the size of our quilt square. Then we'll make sure that's good and lined up before we pin that on because we want just that 1/4 inch seam in there. So as you can see, I'm lining it right up with that middle seam. We'll go ahead and pin that into place. Then once we have that all pinned into place, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way along there. So now that we have that sewn in, we're just going to fold the edge of our binding or our sashing up to that middle iron mark that we put in and flip that over and then pin that one into place. Once we have that one all pinned in, we're going to stitch right along the very edge of the side we just pinned on, and then we're also going to stitch along the very edge of the other side so that the sides match. So now that we got them all stitched in, you can see both edges. We're going to go back to the one we originally did, and you can see that both stitching, and then you flip it over and all you see is the line. So it looks perfectly fine on your back for quilting. So if you're connecting rows together, you'll just have a bigger piece of the sashing, you'll line those up, and the first thing you're going to do is sew them together, the backings, just like we did the two squares together. Line up that middle seam always, make sure your sashings line up. We'll pin that into place, and then we'll sew right along that batting again. Open that up, and then we're just going to take a longer piece of the sashing and do the same steps that we just did with the individual squares on the whole width of our quilt, or the whole length, whichever way you're doing it. I hope this answers your question. And as always, guys, if you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we'd love to have you here at Sew Granny Sew. Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye. We have been asked about our quilts that we make within the channel. Sometimes I get overloaded with the quilt tops and I don't get to finish them all. So I do have several for sale now, though they won't be listed on the website itself at sewgrannysew.shop. I do have them, and you can reach out to me at sewgrannysew@yahoo.com. We also sell them at 3 Mini Charms on Facebook for Sale group, so you can check that out. I also have a Sew Granny Sew Facebook group where you can contact me. I kind of like a group, we get together and craft and so forth. These are just 5 of the quilt tops we have available. So if you're new to free motion quilting or long arming and just need a quick quilt top so you can get started on your practicing, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. They, as you can see, come from, some have patterns, some do not. If you'd like the pattern with it, I'm always open to that as well. All quilt tops are pre-washed in cold water with color catching sheets in a free and clear laundry detergent and dried with wool dryer balls. Just a little disclaimer for you. That way I can catch any color fading, bleeding, and any weak seams. So you can rest assured that they are good to